got tagged.
Your game wasn't nothing till I gave it a spark. And now you wanna try and kick me out of the park. Well, I ain't going quiet, I'm saying it loud. My mission is to stop you and completely shut you down.
Smack, runner, you're nothing but
places you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff.
Something that
should not be even entertained.
Trusted to deliver the truth since 2008, and now. Here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral, everybody. My name is Bob Powell. It's Friday night, January 6th, and today a tragedy occurred in Fort Lauderdale when 26-year-old Esteban Santiago walked into the bathroom after getting off a flight from Anchorage, Alaska, and took his checked luggage, which I understand is the only piece of baggage that he took with him. And he took it into the restroom and put it together and came out firing. And he shot down 13 innocent people, killing 5 of them. This guy is a real piece of work, folks. According to published reports, Santiago walked into an FBI office in Anchorage last November, claiming that he was forced to fight for ISIS. And he also said that his mind was being controlled by the CIA, which was forcing him to watch ISIS videos. And the FBI contacted local police, who involuntarily committed Santiago to a mental facility for treatment. Now, tonight, we're not going to deal with conspiracy theories. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people that have this theory or that theory based on a little bit of information. We're only going to deal with the facts as we know them. And one of the facts that we're going to have to deal with is that this shooting incident, regardless of where this guy came from, what his motivations were, this incident is going to affect our rights as American citizens when we carry a gun, especially in airports. Now, let's look a little bit more about the Santiago character. He was discharged from the Army National Guard last August, and his family said that he served in Iraq in 2010. He'd been the subject of interagency investigations by the FBI and the Army CID. In 2011 or 2012, he was investigated by the Army for possession of child pornography, but there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute. Now, according to ABC News, Santiago was also interviewed by the FBI on a second occasion after his employer called them, raising concerns about things that Santiago had been saying. And mainstream media reports say that Santiago flew from Anchorage to Minneapolis and then switched planes and flew Delta to Fort Lauderdale with the pistol that he used to shoot those 13 innocent travelers in his checked baggage. And once he landed, he took his bags to a bathroom to load his pistol and come out firing. And tonight, to talk about how this is going to affect us, my special guest is Rick Ector. And Rick Ector is a firearms instructor down in Detroit, pretty good friend of mine. We've had some fun at Second Amendment rallies and in Lansing and whatnot. And like I said, he runs Rick's Firearm Academy. He's been a firearms instructor for 11 years, and he even trains other people to become firearms instructors. He's a Second Amendment advocate at it's called Legally Armed in Detroit. The acronym's LAID. We had some fun with that. So why don't you welcome my guest, Rick Ector. Here he is. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Hey, Bob, I'm doing great. man. Hey, trust that you were doing fine, and hopefully we'll have a great, successful new year.
Yes, sir. We will. And we had a great end to the year. Mad Dog Mattis was named Secretary of Defense, of course, after the election of Donald Trump, and it seemed like it was going to be a really great year, but it really hasn't started off that way for a lot of people, especially places like Chicago that had 60 some people killed on or not killed but shot on New Year's Day. So no, it wasn't 60, it was 28. I'm getting my numbers mixed up, but it was 28 people shot in Chicago on one day, New Year's Day, and it was just awful. Now, Rick, I'd like to talk to you about how this incident, regardless of this man's motivations or where he came from and all that stuff, how is this going to affect us? Because I know that you travel around the country speaking on Second Amendment issues that affect all of us, and you travel with your weapon, isn't that right?
I do fly with my firearm, correct. And to the chagrin or to the ignorance of a lot of people in the media, they didn't know that type of activity existed and that there's actually a protocol to actually do that. I expect once a lot of people in the media get over the shock that it has been legal for quite some time, I'm talking scores and scores of years, to legally transport a firearm in checked baggage is indeed legal and is a non-issue for a lot of people in a lot of different circumstances. Inevitably, I imagine we'll hear the clarion call from anti-gun people all across the country who might try to use the medium as their platform to try to impede or change the process. Personally, I don't think the process is in need of changing. It was just an unfortunate negative circumstance. One of the things that has come up in some conversations I've had with people tonight with regard to the incident is that, we're talking about in the baggage claim area of the airport. It's a non-sterile environment. Accordingly, someone could have come into the airport literally off the street and had accomplished pretty much the same thing. I think hopefully a lot of conversation will be geared towards a lot of people who had contact with this individual and for whatever reason dropped the ball. I know that anytime a person goes to his superiors, whether they're in the military or elsewhere, and says that he's having some issues in his head, that he believes that the CIA is controlling his actions and is forcing him to download ISIS training videos, that may be a reason for him to draw further scrutiny or be isolated for observation in a hospital somewhere.
Well, as I understand it, he was actually involuntarily committed to a mental facility in Anchorage, and his brother David says that he's been under psychiatric care for a while. Now, according to my understanding of the law, once you are adjudicated mentally ill, when you are involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility, don't you lose your gun rights?
That's been my understanding. I know here in the state of Michigan, if you've been adjudicated as having some type of serious mental defect such that you are a threat to yourself or some other person, that automatically should trigger a loss of ability to own and possess a firearm. Whether that information was actually entered into NICS or not, who knows? It's no different than many other sad, tragic, similar circumstances in which the information was out there, someone knew about it, but the ends weren't tied up. Someone didn't do something they probably should have done.
The FBI and the Army CID both were investigating this man, and I'm sure that they were well aware that he had been put in a mental hospital. Wouldn't that also qualify him for a no-fly list?
Well, no, I don't think that would trigger a no-fly list kind of thing, unless, of course, they have deemed him to be, a terrorist or whatever classification that they have. There was not too long ago some issues raised in the House by the people on the political left who wanted to put people who were on the no-fly list on the no-buy gun list. And I thought that that was a terrible thing for the simple fact that they were participating in a frontal attack on the Fifth Amendment, which is the elimination of due process.
Right.
And then when you concatenate that with a loss of firearm rights, I didn't think that it was fair to take away someone's constitutional right without the ability to talk to a judge and have some independent legislative person make a decision as to whether our firearm rights should be impaired or eradicated. So, and when you look at the government too, there are people whose Social Security benefits, if they require someone to handle their financial affairs, then they're automatically put into the next database where they can't buy a firearm. There are certain veterans who, when they come home, if they have some certain classification, they're automatically having their rights stripped away. I'm not saying I agree with that in both situations. As a matter of fact, I don't. But the fact that those two other examples exist makes me really wonder why he wasn't put in some type of database or was deserving of further scrutiny.
Right. Well, regardless, this is going to be a subject that we're going to be talking about for quite a long time, I'm sure. But now, how is it going to affect us, lawful gun owners, going forward? Can you explain to me real quick the process for checking your weapon when you travel? What do you do? Do you just walk up to the ticket office and say, I'm legally carrying a firearm. I've got a lockbox. I want to put it in and check it. How does that work? I've never actually flown with my weapon, so you tell me.
Every time I'm not going to say every time. Most times, as of late, the last couple of years, I'm going into a state that recognizes my concealed carry privileges. That is, we have reciprocity. I'm more likely than not to take that firearm with me. And it's fairly simple, straightforward process. For those who are contemplating it, I would advise them to look up the requisite information at the TSA website and at their respective airline carrier. But just to give you a general overview as to how it goes, is your firearm, your handgun in my case, would need to be unloaded both in magazine and in the chamber. It would need to be put into some type of container. I have one of those metal mini vault containers. Yeah. And I put my unloaded gun into that container, and I put my unloaded magazine in that same container. And if you want, you could also put a box of your ammunition, in the original box in which it's designed for, if it will all fit. They don't want any loose ammunition, but they want the ammunition to be in a container that's designed for that ammunition. So usually I'll just grab a small miniature box of ammo and also put it in that container and then lock it. When you lock it, you put it into your luggage that you're going to check. Arrange it so that metal container is on the top of your clothing, and so that when you open your luggage, it's right there. They don't have to look for it. Right. Close up your suitcase and put a lock on it. And then when you go to the airport, you look for, in my case, when I fly this one particular airline, Delta, they have a special services aisle. And I've learned over, just from practice, that's where I need to go. And so then I go get in that line. I take the bag to the counter. They weigh it. They ask me, how do I want to pay for, the baggage fee? And I make a declaration. I say, hey, I have something I need to tell you. I have a firearm that is in this bag, and I want to make sure that I make the proper declaration. So then usually what they'll do is they'll have you open your suitcase, and then they'll see the container, and then they'll ask you what's in it. And of course you say, hey, it's my firearm in there. And then, is the firearm loaded? No, the firearm is not loaded. They'll give you a tag. It's about 5x7. With Delta, it's bright orange. And you basically sign the form that you're transporting an unloaded firearm. And you take that tag and you put it on top of your container that houses your firearm. And then you close it and you put a lock on it. and then you won't see that bag until you actually reach your your destination at baggage claim. And apparently, from what I'm hearing, this is what our alleged bad guy did. He came and retrieved his bag, went somewhere discreetly to unlock his bag and unlock his container, and then load his firearm, and then came out shooting people. So yeah, it's a tragic circumstance all around.
Yeah, it is, and I know this is going to affect us in going forward. Got an interesting little story. It was 2 years ago, before the annual Second Amendment rally in Lansing, when I called security at Flint's airport, and I spoke with the head of security, and I talked to him. I said I'd like to come down there and open carry and pass out flyers for this Second Amendment rally. I want to, get people used to the idea of seeing good, law-abiding people walking around with a gun on their hip. Okay, it's nothing to be scared of. The guy that you want to be scared of is the guy that's hiding his gun. Well, the lieutenant begged me. He begged and pleaded with me, please don't come to my airport with your gun. Because even though it is legal in the state of Michigan to open carry inside of a non-sterile area of the airport, he just didn't want the hassle. So he owes me a favor, and I had him.
Good luck. Well, here, let me tell you this though. I'm not so convinced that something negative or adverse is going to happen to gun rights. Like I said, someone could have came in off the street and accomplished the same thing that he was trying to achieve. And hopefully, I guess after a deep dive investigation, we'll figure that out. The one caveat to that opinion is that we have a president currently who's not shy with executive orders. It would not shock me if he came out with some ridiculous executive order as a knee-jerk response to this incident. But I would expect that executive order would be nullified come January 20th. Going forward, if someone has any concerns with the handgun checking process, I think that maybe it would be incumbent upon airports across the country in their baggage area to have some type of feature there. And by feature, it could be something as simple as a posted guard or someone there to make sure that nothing strange or weird is going to happen. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised that we don't have that protocol set up already. So in terms of negative fallout from this incident, I really don't believe that that's going to actually occur. Like I said, the only caveat is one last second executive order from Obama. But even if he did take that route, I would imagine that it would be quickly signed away in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll take a look at this incident like we've done others in the past, and we'll look at the individual, see if he had any particular motivations or objectives that he was trying to achieve. We will take a look at his personal history and see if there was at any point in time whether some medical professional or someone in the military dropped the ball. Maybe we need to take a look at those processes and make sure that people who are identified as being suspect with regards to their ability to behave in a manner that doesn't cause any damage or injury to themselves or other people, that we implement necessary safeguards to protect the public.
Well, talking about that, necessary safeguards to protect the public, I think that's something that all of us are interested in. I know that's why I carry, not just to protect my own life, but to protect the lives of my family and the people around me. Because, this is a violent world. I'll tell you a little story about the last time, the only time, actually, that I've ever pulled my weapon with the intention of using it. I was in Detroit, and I was working as a private investigator, and that's why I had my license to carry it concealed. And I was in a Wendy's parking lot one day. I think it was at like 9.5 and Gratiot up there by Fraser Road. And this van came pulling in the exit the Wendy's where I was in line to get my hamburger, and this woman got out of the passenger side. Well, she didn't just get out; she kind of stumbled out because the man had been beating her, and he got out of his seat on the driver's side and came around with a tire iron and was beating her to death right there in the parking lot of a Wendy's in middle of Detroit in broad daylight. Well, I got
Not in place. That sounds like Warren, but
yeah,
neither here nor there.
well,
It's
it was
right
on
at.
Gratiot, 9.5 Gratiot, isn't it? Is that still Warren?
Well, that's probably Roseville or some other community.
Yeah, you're right. It is Roseville. But for all intents and purposes, it's Detroit. Well, I draw down on him and I said, "You're going to drop that tire iron or I'm going to drop you." And he looked at me for a hot second. He decided that discretion was a better part of valor, and he retreated. And she ran into the Wendy's. He got in his van and peeled off, and I never saw either one of them again. But the point is, because a lawful carrier of a firearm was there, this woman's life was spared. And, statistically, she probably went back to him the very next day. But
Man, if you're
she
trying
was
to
alive to have that choice to make.
Yeah, man, if you're trying to convince me of why there's a need for good people to have guns, you are literally preaching to the choir. In terms of other actions that can safeguard the public, I'm talking about individuals who believe that the CIA is controlling their mind and is forcing them to download jihadist training videos on how to kill Americans and rack up body counts. I mean, once that information is published to someone in authority, like someone in the military or to a doctor or to a court or to a judge, appropriate things at that level should occur right away so that when that individual is cut loose and he goes off and creates or conducts some heinous act like we saw at the airport in Fort Lauderdale, we're not literally, or shall I say metaphorically, on the football field at the goal line trying to keep these predators from scoring.
Right. Now, it's my firm belief that we are at war with radical Islam. Now, whether this scumbag turns out to be an actual jihadist or just a mentally ill guy that was a wannabe jihadist, it doesn't make any difference. We are, in fact, at war with radical Islam, and they are going to continue to attack soft targets such as these malls, movie theaters, restaurants, and probably even private homes. Have you ever seen that Chuck Norris movie, Invasion USA?
It's been a number of years, but here's the thing,
it's going to be bad.
We have allowed certain people from certain regions of the country to be here, and some of those people don't love America, and I would not be surprised if we've seen some coordinated attacks or some lone wolf attacks by certain individuals who desire to make a political or religious point. But at the end of the day, until we get a handle on who we are letting into this country, presumably if we're properly vetting them, then I think it's incumbent upon individuals in the community who so desire to carry a firearm for personal protection. Carrying a gun is not for robbers, carjackers, and home invaders. They're for terrorists too.
That's right. And I'm sure you would agree with me when I say everybody, in order to be safe, buy a gun, train with that gun, and then carry it with you all the time. And even though we are on the cusp of constitutional carry in the state of Michigan,
I definitely hope so, and I really think it's going to take getting the current governor out of office. But hopefully if the pro-gun guy that's on my mind gets in there, it'll happen.
Okay, well, until that moment comes, if you want to carry concealed in the state of Michigan, you've got to have a concealed carry permit. And in order to get one of those, you have to be properly licensed. And you're one of the people that can help citizens become properly licensed and properly trained to use their weapon. Rick, can you tell my viewers how to get a hold of you so that if they happen to be in Detroit, then they can come and attend one of your classes and get their instructions straight from the master?
Man, they don't have to just happen to be in Detroit. They can come from wherever they are and come to Detroit. But I'm fairly easy to reach. My flagship website is Rick's Firearm Academy of Detroit, which is at URL DetroitCCW.com. My blog, which is a gun rights advocacy site, is LegallyArmedInDetroit.com. I'm usually can be found very easily on most social media sites, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Skype, right? I'm all over the place. Look for me at Rick Ector, and I'm sure you'll find me. Send me a friend request. Let's connect, let's talk, let's dialogue, and let's learn about personal protection.
Amen. I'd like to thank everybody for watching The Truth is Viral. Have a safe and happy Friday night. If you're going to go out, be responsible about the way you celebrate. And I'd like to remind you that The Truth is Viral is going to start coming to you live every night next week. And leave your opinion down in the comment at what time you would like me to start. It's going to be a 2-hour show. And the second hour is going to be dedicated to your phone calls so that we can hear what you've got on your mind. So thank you for watching. Until next time, my name is Bob Powell. And as always, God bless, Semper Fi, and hoorah.
Thanks for having me, Bobby.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.
Smack, runner, your game is through. Smack, runner, I'm talking to you.